Wow. Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Oh,
Or
hello.
time of day.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
We seem to need to wait a little longer for people to show up. So.
Oh yeah. Wait a minute. Definitely. While
Drake,
admiring the conspiracy theory brain.
yes, Drake, how have you been? Have you have a good start
blue,
of your day?
But I got more sleep than I intended to, which is good.
That is good. I got less sleep than I intended to, which is bad. But overall, I think it's a decent, I'd say non-terrible amount of sleep. Just got it at weird times of the day, which is bad.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am at too. Yeah, just I don't know. I've been up to my shoulders. You can take that which other direction you want. In trying to figure out what to write for this fabulous Ultima thing I've been working on, and there's a couple things that I've seen in the community that people want, and I was like, you know what? Maybe somebody should write these things. One of them was the idea of the problem with the Tinker is that it's too basic. It's too simple. It's too okay. I do this one incredibly simple thing, and people have been wanting like a real mad scientist.
Tinker seems to be the other support class that is pure support. I mean, no, that's not true. Lomas also is that. Orator too. Like those are not classes you can just take on your own. I feel like.
Yep.
And Wrench, you talked about that. I think was it yesterday or Thursday? I'm so sorry. I got all 4 of them pulled at once. All those teeth. Holy fuck.
Oh no! Not 4 wisdom teeth. Ugh.
Yeah, and hi, God Sonia, and hi, Waggles. Welcome in.
Hello, welcome in.
Do you like to see us at the moon landing? By the way, I don't know if you ever checked those pictures closely, but there we are.
There we are. We were there the whole time.
You are doing God's work with these stingers. That's great.
Yeah, I just feel the inspiration and it hits me really hard, and then I go, okay, I have to do this. This is lampshading the fact that the best science fiction games tend to be centered on conspiracy stuff or modern day, but with like we're investigating aliens.
Yeah. Do we want to start talking about that, or do we have other things first?
I'm going to start with Stinker. Starfinder.
Oh God.
But I thought about Starfinder this morning, and then that's why I came up with this topic, because I was like, holy shit. Like, I totally missed the mark with that game of what a good science fiction game should be.
So I only read first edition, I'll say that, but I don't think second will be markedly better in that regard.
No. Honestly, second was created for compatibility with Pathfinder second edition.
Yeah, there's so many baffling bad decisions in Starfinder.
Yeah.
But those were mostly really mechanically bad decisions. Like I wouldn't have liked that game even if the story had been good, which I don't even know what the story is.
So you know the Marvel time skip of like 5 years, the blip as they call it. After the Thanos snap, and then everybody came back 5 years later. Sort of like that, except everybody like forgot what happened, and then there was a time skip.
But that doesn't explain. That's sort of background. That's
not a background. Yeah.
Oh no,
that's the background they're going with, though.
But Sonia, you can sleep on my leg and blab, and I'll give you many head pads because you're cute. That's your compliment. Yeah. So, I think so. There's like many aspects to the question: why is sci-fi running science fiction just more difficult than sci-fi? And one of them definitely is that sci-fi tends to need more mechanics.
Yeah,
and
a lot more.
And tends to have more interest in a nitty-gritty effect of things. Like how do space travel work? how do our FTL jumpy work, whatever. Like in fantasy, you're like, oh, this is a horse. You ride on it. It go faster than man on foot, and everyone's like, oh yeah, I get it. And then if you play let's say a Star Trek game, they're gonna talk to you about drive plumes and warp bubbles, and like exponentially faster warp speeds that approach infinity as you approach warp 10.
Yep.
And then they contradict their own fucking law in their own fucking show.
So many times, like this is countless numbers of times, and it got worse in Voyager.
Yeah,
like Voyager was the ultimate example.
And that's definitely like one of those places where so the buy-in there is definitely higher. You need some people who are gonna be into reading and understanding that stuff and playing with it and having caring about it. Because a lot of sci-fi is about the intricacies of like of the future and how the future works. And that in and of itself is another reason. Oh, sorry, let me just finish this because I just had this realization. This in and of itself is another reason why much sci-fi isn't great to run as a TTRPG, because it isn't about the characters. If you read hard sci-fi books, the characters in those books are plot facilitation devices, and it's really about how the cool technology works that they are writing a hypothetical about. Those, I would say, are wholly inapplicable to even attempt to run in a sci-fi game, because TTRPGs are about talking about what people do.
As a result, the science fiction that we should be emulating when we're writing these things is the what's our future society look like, to some degree, because then it's immediately personal. But as we've seen from Pondsmith, that's it's still a tall order, because we're talking about future society. We're talking about, well, what's the adventure in post scarcity? And usually people have terrible answers to that. They usually say, hey, you can only carry 3 items in your cockpit, Shinji, and other things like that are baffling decisions. And that's the thing, is that like when you have post scarcity, suddenly your mechanics need to reflect that, but almost nobody can reflect that with their mechanics.
Yeah, that is immediately why most sci-fi things you play at all are apocalyptic sci-fi.
Yes,
because then you have the anchor of, I need to loot everything to tide the party into the next adventure. Like, we don't have water. It's a very immediate problem. We should solve that before we all die. Cool, awesome. We have an adventure going then. Like,
and then the other type is the frontier science fiction, where you're dropped on a planet with a bucket of stuff and you have to figure it out.
Yeah. Which is, if you do that, I have never seen it done very well, because then it misses the story. Like, you have to have something on that planet that's interesting intrinsically, that isn't just, can I cut another tree down today? I'm gonna roll for stamina or something. Because if there is no opposition, because it's a fucking colonization effort, why would there necessarily be any opposition to a virginal planet we just found? I mean, of course there should be, that should be there, but then you're also expecting it, right? I don't know. I would never think to run such a game, because it would feel like I'm entrapping my players into a weird scenario.
Yep. I mean, that's what it winds up feeling like, because science fiction, we always think of Star Trek right away, and Star Trek was about, seeking new life and new civilizations to boldly go and all that. And when you do a frontier role play, there has to be some element of that in there. Otherwise, it's bleh. Yep. Otherwise, go play RimWorld. Like that's a terrible thing to be like in the headspace of. is why shouldn't I just be playing RimWorld instead?
Yes, or even Minecraft or any other game
Mm-hmm.
about this. There's plenty. Play Alpha Centauri for a really good
That's a
story.
good example. Like you'll get more story out of that, which is so funny in and of
Yeah.
itself. But yeah, like everything started with Starfinder because Starfinder you can't really boldly go. You can't really
Mm-hmm.
frontier. You can't really do a lot of things.
No, this is a 4th level frontier. The enemies have guns that do twice as much damage as you.
Yep,
You can't
exactly.
go there yet. You have to go to the level 1 frontier.
Like Starfinder would have made an amazing MMO because of the logic that it keeps displaying constantly.
Yeah. Starfinder really did the World of Warcraft thing.
Yeah, it did because your level 20 whatever costs, what was it, 6 figures of credits?
Mm-hmm.
It was stupid, but like that was how they did their progression.
That is, by the way, oh my god, that's a topic for next year. Write this down right now. Why is it bad that games conflate power with and money?
Oh gosh, that's a huge topic.
Because it is horrendously bad and a shitty shorthand, and it teaches a shitty lesson to everybody.
It really does.
Why do games conflate power and money? Because capitalism. Yeah, exactly. But I want to talk about it in detail why it's bad and analyze it. That's its own episode, and we have on because we were today like talking. What do we do? Then we arrived at this topic within like an hour of the show. So.
But yeah, like we've really outlined pretty well why it's so difficult right away. The buy-in is so high. The passion needs to be there compared to like this. It's so rooted in our consciousness now to go around pursuing mythology.
Yes.
Beyond the, oh my gosh, everybody read Lord of the Rings. No, that's not true. Not everybody has read it, but they've heard people talk about it their whole life.
And ultimately, Lord of the Rings is evil wizard, make ring, destroy ring, throw a volcano where wizard live. These are small people, like to eat second breakfast, comic relief guys. This man with sword series guy. We understand it immediately.
Immediately. There's no buy-in, literally none. It's like rooted in our DNA at this point. But
I wouldn't say there's literally no buy-in, but the buy-in is tiny, yes, for sure. Because ultimately just a story about like good fighting evil, evil getting defeated, blah blah blah. And in science fiction usually you don't have that at all. Like sure you might root for the good guys in quotation marks, but who are they even?
Yeah. Like everybody's wearing the same spacesuit and it's just colored differently. Who am I rooting for? And it becomes team sports way too quickly for most people. Well, they're both debating over this geyser here that produces unlimited energy. Cool. You can put a story around that, but which guy should it care about more?
And then you have the one player at the table who's like, unlimited energy, you say? Let's make a weapon out of it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh no.
Oh no.
But I introduce crafting to the setting. That is like another important thing. That is at the core of sci-fi. That just isn't at the core of fantasy games. Is mystery as we can't do that right now. Because if I tell you in a normal fantasy game, oh, there's ancient ruins here, there's a weird device that seems to be partially malfunctioning, and like it produces effects, and now we are going to have a whole like set piece about how it does this, and you might jump through portals and defeat enemies that come in, and all the while trying to press the right buttons to turn this thing off. And then once it is off, you're done. And you do the next set piece, or you do the thing you actually came there for. Because you aren't really interested in that machine. But in a normal sci-fi game, like a Star Trek-y sci-fi game, people are like, okay, we have turned it off. Time to set up a research outpost and figure out what the fuck it is.
Yeah. That's what you'd be doing. And then, like,
Yeah.
are we really going to role play the 6 months of research? No, we're not.
Yeah.
Or if we want to talk about all the different systems that exist out there, we're going to expend 3 settlement points to create a research station here. Cool.
Yeah.
I guess that's done. Like, it gets boring very quickly. Like,
Yes.
there's just no way you can make it fun/interesting at the table in any conceivable way, because then you'd just be describing something very droll and very humdrum, and then you need to go on to the next exciting thing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why when we see movies, science fiction movies, it isn't people trying to like unravel a mystery most of the time. Instead, it's we meet alien. Oh, alien is different than we expected. Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even really a mystery. It's just, oh, it's a surprise.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. Another thing is that, of course, in science fiction, are you gonna make it like scientifically sound, your mystery?
Yeah.
Like how? I couldn't do it. I'm not a physicist. I don't know if my idea of space travel is even theoretically feasible or whatever. Like you're just it's gonna be magic anyway, but you're gonna have to put it in a way more tightly restricted set of rules.
Yep.
Than fantasy needs. So fantasy needs to have magic that breaks every rule. You can put that in. If that happens in a sci-fi setting, then you have basically created a okay, this is now possible for us to achieve. If we have readings of what happened just now, maybe we can figure out this effect and then do it or whatever. Like if you're talking Star Trek-y fantasy, that would be all they would be doing in that case.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure they have like whole reams of scan data on Q and a bunch of nerds somewhere on Earth trying to figure out how that works. Like if they can get an into the Q continuum power. We don't get to see that because they have other issues on the ship, but it would still be happening. So everything has to be followed up on in that manner as well.
Yep. And with science fiction, there's a greater onus on the concept of Chekhov's gun, because the plasma rifle that we just researched from the weird alien back in episode 1 or 2, it is a given in science fiction that we would eventually reverse engineer it and then using it in episode 18. Like, that's just how it is. And if we didn't do that, then we're being dumb.
Yeah, it's just more powerful. Like, yeah, it makes sense. So. So basically, the thing that sci-fi wants to do, which is cool stuff happening, cool stuff being literally stuff in many cases, like is kind of counterproductive to the actual act of what you want to do in the game, which is have cool moments with your characters.
It really is, because like you said at the start of the discussion, it's about the discovery. It's not about who discovers it. Or what method they even used. It's just about what you discovered.
Yeah.
Whereas in fantasy set piece, it's almost always about how Legolas rode that orc down the river. Like, everybody remembers that moment if they saw it in the movies. And that doesn't happen in science fiction. Thus, you need to do something very character driven.
Yes.
And that's why things like the conceit of Mass Effect 1 and 2 wind up working for people, even if it gets really fucking silly, looking at you, Mass Effect 2, with how you recruit people and go and do things with them, and how these people will just die horribly unless you do their special mission where you go and talk to their mom. It's just, if you want to make it character focused, you inevitably need to bring in a trope, a conceit, a thought process from another genre.
Yeah.
Mass Effect 2 does the Dirty Dozen thing, where you're literally assembling a dirty dozen of people who have special skills that you're going to need to do a thing.
Yeah.
And it works really well if you want to have a pre-established like setting and then reveal lore as you go. Oh yeah, we got to go track down this guy who's got 8 arms. He'll be really good for disabling the bank security locks because we need somebody who can do 6 locks at once.
Yeah. But then you run into the problem that, well, you could be doing the same thing in fantasy.
Exactly.
And you wouldn't have had to have established the Mass Effect universe in its own whole ass game beforehand. It didn't have all of these elements. It was mostly just a dry exploration of the setting, which I really enjoyed. But which like your players might not like getting yelled at by politicians because they didn't do the mission right like 5 times in a row.
I love that shit so much.
It's not like maybe the best setup for your game, like except if you want to make the politicians the bad guys, of course.
Or the allies we've got, we don't like them kind of situation. Then actually this winds up being a really good comparison. There's a reason why there's so many people who were huge fans of Dragon Age when it first came out, with very little like, oh my gosh, there's these reams of lore. There wasn't. There was just enough. And you know, just look at it very closely, and it's big evil thing. It's even literally called Darkspawn. Very easy to get into.
Yes. But that's why you can define sci-fi by how it is different from regular fantasy. Like you can even define a vampire story by how the vampires are different from regular vampires.
Yes.
Because everybody has the baseline vampire in their brain. Like the baseline vampire is this Dracula from those black and white movies, like creeping around outside your window, staring in, wanting your blood. The classic sci-fi kind of these days is Lord of the Rings, where you have dwarves under the ground and the elves are kind of haughty racists, and humans are the dirty mud people who live over there, but they have cool knights and stuff, and maybe maybe a really cool town, and so on and so forth. This does not exist for sci-fi. There isn't the sci-fi setting. There are a few really well-known properties, of course, like Star Wars is one, which is very space opera. It's not really sci-fi. Star Trek is another, but with Star Trek these days you have to basically stand there and ask, hey, which Star Trek? Yes. Are we cutting it off at like after DS9 because we all think it sucks after that? Are we including Voyager? And if so, which parts? Are we actually going to like say that the rest of it is in there because the rest of it is like weird? And I mean, Stranger Worlds might be good. It's not finished though. Do we put that in? But what else do we have? Do we have Stargate?
Oh yeah.
Which is a bit in the middle between those two, I would say. Like it's more hard sci-fi than Star Wars, but definitely has more hard, more soft elements in it than that. And what else is there? Alien? Alien isn't really okay. It is sci-fi, but it's not. But we have seen how that gets bungled in games. We have reviewed them.
Yeah, we have, and like those games never give you the tools to have real fun. They just don't. I would like to be a space trucker that shoots aliens on the way to my destination. That sounds like a fun game to me, but that doesn't exist except in Traveler, and that has its own bag of stupidity.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. So then, what's like? If I'm thinking about it, what other like properties even are there? You have post-apocalyptic stuff. Expanse is there. That's true. Does it have its own RPG? Firefly.
Yep.
Because these properties have succeeded in setting up a world that you can play in.
Yeah, they really have. In the case of the Expanse and Firefly, like those two plus Eclipse Phase, those are the three that we've given good reviews to that I would consider pure science fiction.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call Gamma World pure science fiction because that focuses on post-apocalyptic.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's its own thing, where it's like Fallout and all its ilk, which is fantasy with guns. Let's be real. That's also kind of what Shadowrun ends up being modern, like basically modern day capitalism, but with magic.
Yep.
Which is why it clicks better for me than like Cyberpunk, which is just modern day capitalism, but with more capitalism
Yeah, that's the thing is it's just if that's your setup, we're just gonna have more of the thing that's going to like be depressing. Like, no. Like, can you add an element that like is exciting? Which is
Mm.
why people gravitate so hard towards the nomads and the concept of that
Yep.
in Cyberpunk.
Yep.
Because people love the idea of this big wasteland between megacities and people have to drive like freight between those. And everybody relies on these nomad gangs. Like, there you go. That's also in Firefly. That's also in The Expanse.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like that trope of where people that need to go from point A to point B works really well no matter what setting you put it in.
Yes. But then I run into the issue that if I'm running it in a sci-fi game, in a fantasy game, I'm probably going from A to B for story reasons and for
Yes.
personal growth reasons, and we have to get on the boat because we have to find the sand whale, right? But in a space trucker game, you're going on the boat to truck somebody's cargo to another town.
Yep.
And that's it. Like, if it's your job, it's not interesting to play it as an RPG.
Exactly. Well, there's got to be more. There's got to be in Firefly. There's the element of rebellion. In The Expanse, there's the element of it was just another day, hauling ice, and then this happened.
Yeah.
And doing like an extremely long campaign where we're just hauling ice the whole time. No, just no. At some point, you have to have the fantasy moment of, okay, where's the story? Oh, here it is. We found like the weird alien crystal here on this asteroid while we were ice mining.
Yes.
And now everybody wants it.
Yes.
There you go. Which people ask once again, why can't I just do this in fantasy?
Yeah. Well, you could, but it would also be boring. Like, if your party really wants to run a tavern in Waterdeep, you can do that.
Yeah.
But if there's going to be interesting stuff that's happening, after a short while, you're going to have to go adventuring again. Because there's only so many things that can be realistically happen to your tavern in Waterdeep.
Yeah.
Drunk wizards being most of those things.
Exactly. Which is why you wind up wanting to do a setup like a certain somebody who isn't here yet because he had to go get a haircut, wanting to run a restaurant/gym in Shadowrun and continue to fund it by going on Shadowruns.
Yeah, and that's like, okay, for a single character, that's actually a very good side gig. Hi, Sundert.
Hi, Sundert.
Like, it's not slander, Sundert. I just mentioned it because it is a classic place everybody knows. Yep. Like, I have run a tavern in Waterdeep in a game before. Yeah. That's why I know what it looks like when that happens, and the DM basically just had it as a backdrop, which is fine and it's fun even. But you're not going to become businessmen in Faerun and like get rich off your tavern. You're still going to be adventurers. Because unless your group is very weird, it's less interesting to be businessmen than it is to be adventurers. Another thing, though, that we should mention is that in sci-fi, if something bad happens, it can just be over for your characters very easily.
Yeah.
Like, there tends to be less outs. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that we are playing Firefly, the game, and the coalition, I think it was, shows up and blasts our ship with big guns. We can now run away and hide from them. That's an adventure. But say we fuck up and we don't run away, then it's over. What do we do now? Play the game where we are on trial for some sort of crime and then have to find Saul Goodman for one phone call? It's not really interesting.
No, it's just not.
Or alternatively, more likely you're just gonna be dead because they're gonna shoot your ship to pieces. So it is actually harder as well to meaningfully threaten the party in a way that is threatening but exciting threatening, and not this is either going to work out or we are dead threatening, which is a subtle difference in like feeling, but it exists to be sure.
Oh yeah, it absolutely does. It's why a lot of people have trouble actually running nautical campaigns, because they don't want to think about the other steps of, oh no, well, we just got shelled by cannons, now we're adrift at sea. Like, what do we do? Like, they don't want to even think about that, and I get it, because that is a very no-win situation, and it is very final. Like, okay, you get scurvy and die. Like those are the quote-unquote realistic outcomes, even if you have fancy magic and stuff, which is why things like the Seven Seas, or wait, what was that called?
Seventh
Sea? Seventh Sea. Yeah, just, it doesn't work long-term because there's not enough magic to keep you from going, well, we're marooned on an island at sea, we're all dead. Or cannibalism. And in science fiction, that, gosh, there's so many moments in The Expanse where literally, we just shot them through their drive and we're just going to let them stay adrift until they die. Like, that's so bleak, and it's so hard not to do that.
Yeah, or just like most of the first season of The Expanse is them being on the ship that's falling apart and having to like string batteries together with a time limit of 12 hours or they all die. Yeah, cool. That's the problem with that as well, is that that's dramatic in a show. But the fifth time the DM asks you to roll engineering to get the battery out of the thing, it's going to be boring at the table.
Yeah.
And possibly you feel defeated as well because you're not doing well on the rolls. Which is why combat in any game is like such an interesting thing, because A, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it does.
You can of course do that in science fiction, but B, if you aren't doing well in combat personally, you can still like root for your friends to do well, and maybe they saved the situation today. But if the whole thing is about solve the engineering puzzle or whatever, then there isn't really I'm rooting for you to roll well so much as man, we are all just in this and it sucks. Because it is boring, it ends up boring. Like rolling for a thing that is intangible to its outcome, because it just feels like a small thing, even if it's like made big by the story, it doesn't feel great, in my opinion. Like, it's hard to describe this right now to me, but I think, am I getting across what I mean? I don't know.
Yes, because in the case of combat, there are ever-changing things that are very visceral and very visible. Like, guy gets shot, oh no, give him first aid. A grenade got thrown, okay, we all scatter to this other part of the corridor, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's stuff, there's ebb and flow, there's story being told with every action. But when it comes to, I'm fixing the antenna, what are we going to do? Break out a Parcheesi board and force you to do that to represent it? Like, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work, because there's no, even to somebody who knows about like electrical repair or electrical engineering or anything, it's not something that you're going to have fun representing at a table. You're just not. Which is why games like Original System Shock and many others, they had puzzles to represent you rewiring a switchboard.
This is actually something that one of my friends did once, where we're supposed to like, hey, you are afflicted by a disease that was made in this compound, but there's like a DNA folding device which you could use to make an antidote. Here is the programmer's game of life. I forgot the name, where you have dots, and if it's one neighbor, they both die. If a dot is actually two neighbors, they are stable. If it has three, it propagates to all adjacent fields at IMT. So now go make a 12 dot thing that is stable. And then we were sitting there like, holy fuck, how do we do this? And then we clicked around, like basically at random, understanding the rules because none of us knew what this was in beforehand. This is years ago. My friend had just made that for like a programming class thing. It's like, hey, I can use this for an adventure. And then we found the thing, which happened to be like a moving thing that like was stable, but not in one like tick. It was like stable over a few ticks, and then it would move one to the left and one down or something. I forget what it worked like. And then we felt cool that we did it, but obviously that's a one-off, right? You can't use that again.
No, you can't.
And you can't come up with that new puzzle thing every week unless you are like doing that as your job.
Yeah. And there's another factor to this too, and it comes down to quote-unquote systems. It's an interesting system where when you have the whole party sitting on the bridge and you scan for anomalies, there's a bunch of anomalies, and then you choose as a group which one to go to and investigate and blah, blah, blah. That can be interesting.
Yep.
But it's not interesting when every time we have a battery puzzle and XYZ comes up, like, oh no, like this wire is frayed. Okay, just replace the wire. Like, it's not an interesting choice. It's not an interesting interaction. And that's the thing that most science fiction games have to grapple with at least a little bit is how much do I want to fuck around with simulation and how do I emphasize drama?
Yes.
And of course the answer to this is clocks. Like that's the only good way to do it.
Yeah. And it's actually, you know what, that's actually a good point in general about check types. Because I have now identified two distinct check types. One is player wants to do something but doesn't know the outcome, which is I'm perceiving the room, I am trying to find things, find clues here, I'm going to sneak around, that kind of thing, right? Those are interesting. And then there is pass-fail checks where you know the outcome and only one outcome is good, which is like I open the lock, I fix the machine. And I think the percentage amount of pass-fail checks is higher in science fiction by necessity of the problems you're going to face.
Yes,
and unless you specifically leave those checks on the like out of your game more than you would normally do. Because I think if you like do it as expected, where you like as your brain would expect the story to go, you're like, yeah, they're gonna have to fix the ship, they're gonna have to fix the door, they're gonna have to fix this, that, and the other thing. And then you have a player who always has to roll these things, and if he doesn't do it, then well, I guess he does it again with like, and it's not really even a question because if we don't fix the thing, then the story doesn't progress. Like it just takes longer, I guess. It's not really a problem.
Yeah, it's not really interesting either. Like
exactly, and if it fails too much and you fail the whole thing, it doesn't feel like you did anything wrong. It feels like you just didn't have luck.
Yeah. Just all of this feeds into why clocks are good. Like, there's so many game systems that just benefit from it, and everything science fiction would benefit from it because, you know, we've all been in that situation in real life where we're just like, shit, I need to pull off the lug nuts of this and change a tire or whatever.
Like it's definitely like, so what you would have to do in that case isn't like present the problem as, okay, in 2 hours the Drambonians are going to jump in with their big armada and we have to be gone by then, otherwise they're just going to blast our ship. But it's damaged and we have to repair like these 3 things in 2 hours. How do we do it? And then it's like maybe even a puzzle where you have to allocate the right amount of like spare parts or whatever. None of that is interesting.
No.
The setup though is interesting in where you say, okay, the Drambonians are going to jump in 2 hours, you have to be gone by then. And then you put the clock on the player table and say, okay, how do you do it? And then they at least come up with a story, as opposed to you presenting the nitty-gritty details of the story to them for them to roll dice for.
I'm sorry. I just realized. Don't just nod. Say yes. Yes.
It's okay.
Had a blonde moment there.
Another thing that just occurs to me is having run like a science fiction campaign that was sort of semi-based on Star Sector stuff and semi-based on like just general sci-fi for like in Shadowrun rules. What the players liked the most was the exploration.
Yeah.
And finding weird things.
That's the winner, you know?
And those weird things then generally tend to be like puzzles to solve or people to talk to. And the puzzles usually aren't just to repair something. So that is more case in point there, I guess.
Yeah. Like, my experience with running science fiction games, people like it when you present the sexy blue alien lady who might require some effort in order to woo. Like, people really like that. People like the quote-unquote puzzle of that. Because it's something that has, like, a distinguishable reward, and it isn't always just having woo-woo with her. It's also, hey, I like the idea that this NPC who might be, I don't know, an 800-year-old blue lady winds up liking me enough, and then either I get like a material benefit or something else. In a lot of cases, it's just the benefit of, wow, I got an NPC to like me, cool. Because, you know me, I make very interesting, deep, fascinating NPCs. So the challenge of that always comes up. And, that goes part and parcel with exploration, because you're doing the exact same thing when you're interacting with the weird monolith that seems to elevate the chimps on board the ship whenever they touch it,
Yes, of course. But all of these problems are kind of there isn't that much of a value add to making them sci-fi problems, really. Like there isn't.
Yep.
You could have the same stuff happen in a normal game. No, in a normal game. Normal game is a bad way to phrase it. In a fantasy game, and it would be fine. It would give you the same brain tickles.
Exactly. Sometimes even more, because then there's another edge to it that goes in a different direction. And like people value their imagination. People value the excitement of that. And there's a lot of situations where people will interface with the science fiction setting and then go, oh, wait, I just realized my character has to use math all the time. I'm turned off. And I get that.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah, no one likes math. Even people who like math don't really like math.
People who like math.
Just masochists. Masochists.
Masochists.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a little too real. Yeah. A little too real. But yeah. So, a lot of this feeds back into us discussing what made things work and what things don't. Your insight about the exploration parts of it and finding weird things. Yeah, like, gosh, the things that we reviewed that were really in the good category: Firefly, The Expanse, and Eclipse Phase. All three of them are really good for the exploration. They're really good for character interaction, and they're really good for self-expression.
Yes.
Because
please.
Because in case of Firefly, it's more, how is my Western character identified? Is he wearing his cool kerchief? What's going on here? Where the Expanse is, oh, so you're with the you're a belter, huh? And then details flow from that, and then you go and you look at Eclipse Phase. Oh, you're in the skin suit of a elevated orangutan. What does that say about you? And there's enough personal affectation, whereas you try to do a Starfleet game like Prime Directive, the personal stuff is just like totally eliminated to the point of no return.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I think So we have pointed out for 45 minutes why it's hard. We want to talk about how to maybe like do it anyway and make it interesting. Okay.
Yep. That was part of my bridge there.
Yes. My first insight to it is from that exploration game I ran. So FTL, if you have FTL in your game, it's a good way to, like, of course, save time. We don't have to talk about travel because travel is just going to happen fast. Right? So you kind of keep track on how long people have actually spent traveling, if that's like a time thing. And you keep track of how long people have been doing other things anywhere. And then you're like, okay, it's been 14 days since they were at this location. What has changed? And then you always change something about the situation. Because that gives the players the idea that, things are moving. If we are not there, things progress, which is why it's important that every place that you make has some sort of thing going on.
Yep.
Like, as an example, one thing they found was a planet with like aliens on it that were like on the cusp of space travel. There were 3 warring sides, like a 3-way Cold War basically. And then they more or less like made deals with one of those sides after landing, and nearly getting shot down because they underestimated what these aliens had in terms of weapons a little bit. And then the Cold War on that planet would progress in different ways, and you could talk about, we are back on the back foot currently at the front, at our proxy war front, and if that goes bad, then everything might be over. Can you help us? Stuff like that, and you could present these issues every time, which kept it interesting. Also meant you bogged the players down a lot in all of these things, but that's good because you want them engaged with stuff. Because while the universe is infinite and stuff you can find in it is infinite, if you engage with that stuff, it's going to take time and it's going to make itself interesting. And all the while, like, they were building their own little space empire after having found like a colony of robots that was going to build them stuff. And so time passing wasn't bad because they could return home and find that stuff was progressing there, and that felt good to them. So
that's really cool, actually.
Because
that's one of the things I want in my space games is what you just described. Because I'm so every medieval game I've ever been in, I'm like, can I make a castle at some point or something? And I like to do the same thing in space. So
yeah. And that's one thing. If you say do it like that, like if your space travel is just about how long do we take anywhere, and it's not really serving any other purpose, then you are wasting that idea.
Yeah. Time passage having a real effect is just so important. It really is.
I mean, it's obviously a good advice for any game. But that said, it's still it is because like the problem you face with a game like that where I run is like, okay, why would the players engage with outside forces much if they're building their own empire out in space somewhere, right? But they need stuff. So yeah. But I can't just always be about that. It has to be about other things, otherwise it's gonna feel samey if we are always just about, can we trade you for all your crystals because we need them for our machines. So being like, okay, we want the crystals, but to get the crystals we have to help these people win their war, their proxy war. Or at least put it back to a stalemate so that they aren't panicky and actually wanting to talk to us. How do we do that? Like you take the thing the players want from the characters want, and you put an obstacle in its way. Like very basic once again, but the obstacle should be not necessarily a problem the players have, but a problem they want to solve to get what they want. Because that's the thing in many fantasy games, the problems tend to be very personal to the characters. Like, my dad was killed by orcs, and I can finally kill the orc that killed my dad, kind of thing. Well, that doesn't really work in sci-fi.
No.
So the indirection is very, very nice and important.
It is. Making objectives slightly impersonal or actually rewards you in science fiction games, because then, what is it? Somebody said once that was playing Deep Rock Galactic, this gold isn't going to mine itself. And that's a huge part of science fiction versus fantasy, is that in fantasy you always have, oh yeah, there's the kobolds, or oh yeah, there's the dwarves. There are those things that just keep on going no matter what you do. In mentality, and that's just how almost all those settings are made. Like, I can't think of one that isn't made that way to some degree, where you just have that. But in science fiction, what we're trying to do is, okay, we form a colony, which is very similar to starting a village in a fantasy game. But the difference is that this is science fiction. We need the silicon to make our computer chips. We need this. We need that. We need these things that are more advanced, more complex systems, and your goals shifting to accommodate that, and your characters going on adventures to benefit your colony, benefit this, benefit that. It can be so rewarding on a personal level for your character, even if you play like Jane Cobb.
Yes.
Like, I'll refer back to Jane Cobb probably multiple times in the future throughout the rest of this, because he's the perfect example of, I want money, and that's about it. But even the Jane Cobb character can come to have objectives, personal vendettas, this, that, the other thing. And they did one thing with the Firefly show where, okay, they went to this town where he turned out to be like the local folk hero. But in the RPG, we want to have the moment where you become the local folk hero, be the thing that happens, rather than us just referring to the past every time. And where do you get that? You get that by stealing from this town full of people that specialize in mining mud. Like, it's right there. It's just ready to go.
I forgot that it was mud. It's been too long I watched that show.
Yes.
It's the best.
It's so silly.
Like, to tie into that, yes, like, if you can make personal, like, drama / adventure stuff, of course you do that. So
of course.
That's a constant in any game. But if you have, like, if your goal is, if the goal of the party is, okay, we need building materials for our colony or whatever, then a good way to facilitate this is to give them the guys who are going to actually mine the material or get the stuff. But they're like, dudes, we would love to do this. Like, it's our whole jam to mine the silicon. But there's, like, dinosaurs on top of that shit that are going to eat us. Can you do something about that? And then that's an adventure. Like, indirect the problem.
I love it.
Because, like, the solution to the problem can't be, well, now we are going to sit here for 6 months and dig in the sand until we have enough sand. Like, that's not. I mean, you can't do that, I suppose, but you're just going to time skip it anyway. So why not just put people there that's good? And then because the good thing about putting people in your game is any person you put in the game, someone can click with them, and then you have fun stuff going on where you can deepen a relationship and so on and so forth. If it doesn't click, well, you still have some guys mining our silicon. Like, no one's going to complain about those guys.
Like, we're going to refer to Dwarf Fortress in RimWorld so many times. But it is very similar to playing Dwarf Fortress, and you have that expert master brewer. And it's just like, you kind of need him in your colony, and you want to kind of keep him happy and all this stuff. And the thing is that, like, going back to your example before, my daughter was kidnapped by dinosaurs. Can you please save her?
Yes.
And then I will brew for you forever.
Yes. Like, the idea of, hey, we should, let's say we have a game where we are scavenging, like we are Fallout, let's say, it's a Fallout game. It should still be that you say, okay, the party of players is like the scouting party. They're going to look at the place we haven't been to yet, make sure it's not safe, but at least like scout it out and reasonably known what the problems there are, so that then our other guys can go there and grab stuff.
Yep.
And sure, the scouts that go in first, they might grab the best stuff. Fine. But are they gonna be like, okay, listen, there's this locked door behind all of this rubble. If we spend 2 days to move the rubble, then we could try the door. No. They are not. Because they have to deal with the death claws or whatever the fuck is in the area where we are dealing with right now. So they're gonna be banging the death claws. And then once that's done, they're gonna leave and be like, hey, we killed the death claws, you can go loot. And then you can, at a later date, be like, okay, we cleared the rubble, there's this locked door, we opened it, and there's like an old vault behind. Can you maybe check that out? All guys don't feel comfy doing it. You know?
Oh, yeah. It works really well, really quickly, because the reputational effect of, well, these guys were pretty good scouts starts to add up over time, realistically, in your science fiction game of any kind.
Yes.
And this touches on a point that I thought of when we were talking about this.
Yes.
Don't let sensors be the be-all, end-all.
Yeah, definitely not.
Don't, because then it eliminates we need to beam down and investigate part of things.
Yeah. Actually,
that's important.
Also, if you do it, sorry, if we're done, so then aside about sensors, since I played my game with Shadowrun rules, what I did was sensors would give you a bonus to your perception, but you would still roll perception.
Yep, exactly.
Because you were interpreting the results, right? That's how I skinned that.
Yeah, you still need your expertise of the person looking at the scan. Because, just let's look at the real world for 2 seconds. Why do X-ray technicians exist? It's because they're the people that do the X-ray for you. But are they the ones that interpret it? No. Somebody else does that because somebody else is really good at interpreting the X-ray. This guy just keeps the machine going. And the thing is that that's exactly how it happens on a lot of ships. We go to submarines now for just a second. There is a guy whose job literally is to sit and listen to the microphones tuned to the outside to see if he can interpret what's going on outside. That's all his job is.
Yes.
And in a spaceship, you'd do something similar. Not with sound, but you get my point.
Yeah. And to answer Sonia, will I be singing carols today? No. I will not be singing carols, period.
No, there will be no decking halls except with this.
Yeah. We're only decking halls if he's a bad guy and we are punching him.
Yep, exactly.
So, yeah, there's that. Which is honestly, this is how you would run any scavenging game, in my opinion. Where you have the conceit of, well, we are gonna go out there, we're gonna find the stuff to scavenge, and then we're gonna scavenge. We're gonna send our dudes in after. Maybe even our whole nomadic tribe moves into the area and finds stuff,
Oh yeah, that's a fun. Yeah, playing like playing Quarians in Mass Effect.
Yeah. And then obviously also an issue you run into. Let's go back to the normal sci-fi thing. Let's say Bunny Planet resolves its problems, right? I said Bunny Planet. The Cold War planet. They were bunny people. It's neither here nor there. They were warlike bunnies. Yes, this was fun. It was funny. So suddenly they have 6 billion allies? ? Well, that's a problem, ain't it? How do you power scale that? Well, make sure they don't just give them the super thing too easily.
Yeah.
Or if you do make it so powerful that it's going to give them big pause before they think about using it. What I gave my party was a terraforming device, which is like this Star Trek for terraforming device kind of thing that you throw at a planet. It's going to make you a Terran world. Okay, what happens if I throw it at a Terran world? It's going to make a new Terran world by killing everything on it and making other stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck, okay. So that's basically a world-destroying device. Yeah, it is. You have it in your ship now. They never used it. It could have solved problems, but it's like, but what if we need it tomorrow? It's the definition of the thing that is so valuable that you are sitting on it forever. But that's not a guarantee that they won't use it. But you just have to be prepared to like. I guess that adventure is gone now. Sometimes.
I'm just imagining Shatner saying Genesis over and over now.
Oh yeah. But anyway, like I honestly don't have that many good advice pieces beyond, except maybe if you want to get people into any sci-fi game, starting with a near future recognizable setting is probably your best bet, or an apocalypse setting.
Yeah. Making it recognizable enough, always important. That's why 2 out of the 3 things that we mentioned are instantly extremely recognizable. Yeah. And then the third one has recognition through cyberpunk tropes. Because of the whole, all right, we're going to just download you into a new body. Very cyberpunky, and makes Eclipse Phase very interesting on its own.
Yeah.
Makes its own value add through that. But that's why The Expanse relies upon, hey, we've got these different peoples who are turfing with each other, people exploiting each other, very basic historical stuff being shown there.
Yes.
And then in Firefly, yes, there's some of that, but the focus on the frontier stuff really brings it home for so many people that we're doing just a space smuggler Western. That's it. That's fine. That works great. Because leaning on those tropes means a lot of heavy lifting doesn't have to be done. Because you show somebody a random episode of, I don't know, Babylon 5, there's a lot of stuff that people aren't going to get immediately. And that's fine, but we're running a tabletop game here. So you don't want to put your players in a position where they're wondering, but how does the FTL work the entire time? It's distracting.
It's a gate out there, though. That's another thing. Like, I don't think you can make a whole show like DS9, Deep Space Nine, or Babylon 5 about there's this place that people go to, and then you can have like your bottle episodes forever about people who visit and do things, and then stuff happens that might have implications for the wider world. Wouldn't work for a TTRPG game, in my opinion, because it would feel bad for your players to just be running, be at their day job and constantly have problems occur in front of them that they have to solve, or be like, oh, the Nan and the Minbari are fighting again. That would be Centauri, but whatever. Can we just roll diplomacy to solve it again? It would be boring to run that. So your players in a TTRPG have to be in a proactive role of some kind.
They'd have to be, It can't be passive. And if there is a passive element, that has to be reversed very quickly and turned into something active.
Yeah.
Just can't be. It can't be you clock in your day job at the Pure and Clean Water Corporation mining house. You just can't do that for longer than the first, second, or third session. You just can't. You've got to do something else after that point.
Yeah.
But there was a point I was going to say. Oh, and if you're like, but I want to have like a central set piece that we return to, cool, go ahead and do that. But you're going to do active things from that place rather than the active thing always happening at that place. The reason why the movie Casablanca was so good and why Deep Space Nine and Babylon 5 have the roots in that movie is because, okay, we've got nations at war, we've got stuff going on around us. So as a result, stuff drifts in and we have to deal with it, us people just trying to make a dishonest buck here in Casablanca. That kind of setup works really well But the problem is that the characters have to have already been in a I'm going to be active about stuff role from the outset. Like saying, yeah, I work as a janitor on Deep Space Nine, but I also smuggle goods occasionally. Something like that. Or to put the Shadowrun thing on there, yeah, I run a restaurant, but I also Shadowrun. Like, there has to be an active component. And the moonlighting, which is another fun term for this, where you have your legit job in one of these settings and your not legit job, and then they collide, that could be very interesting for long-term play for a lot of people. So if somebody really, really wants to do Deep Space Nine, that's the way to do it, really, is your characters have their day job, and then they have the other thing that they're into.
Yeah.
And that's how they all connect.
Interesting, a lot of the characters on DS9 do have their double lives. You have the spies and the Superman and whatever.
Yeah, or the misery porn that was Miles O'Brien's life.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's a good example.
Miles and Kim, the two most unfortunate people in Star Trek.
Yes, except in the case of Kim, like it's even worse because like he gets the girl and it's gone immediately. Whereas in the case of Miles,
that would be an hours long analysis of who has it worse. They put Miles in a mind prison for 20 years. He just has to live with like those memories forever.
Like there's no coming back. No Section 31 mind wipe.
Yeah, they don't ever revert that. He just has 20 virtual years of prison, and at the end of that, he kills his cellmate friend in the simulation.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Miles might have been worse off than Kim, but not like it is a contest though. That's for sure.
It is a contest because the other half of the contest is me having to remember all the stuff they did to Kim and Voyager.
The issue with that is that I don't want to have to rewatch Voyager again.
I really don't.
I would have to like find a reviewer who does it and then just script the notes.
So there you go. There's another character archetype for you for science fiction is why does this always happen to me character?
No, that's not a good character archetype. No.
Oh, it's a terrible one.
Most players wouldn't like to play that.
No, it's only for special masochists, as I call them.
Yeah.
Which I have encountered at the table, but that could be its whole episode. Are your players masochists?
Yes.
But yeah. If you want to do site-based play, there still has to be an active component.
Yes, absolutely.
You can't deal without it.
And I would still argue that you can do this, but it would probably be 5 times easier to not do it.
Yeah.
All things considered, like even DS9 gets the starship, and so does Babylon 5 eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they do stuff outside the space for now, but the way in which it is good is to use as a grounding place where you get to learn about the setting and its intricacies off of that one place for like a long time.
Yep. The central hub location is such a trope in so many RPGs, but it's a trope for a reason because it works. It's great for grounding. It's great for, I want to role play in between these torture porn segments, please. It's great for that. It's really great for that. And there's a reason why the Old Republic had a lot of role play, and then there are people who just do normal tabletop Star Wars role play. And in both cases, there are people who just want to do quote unquote cantina role play in between their adventures.
Oh yeah.
And I get it. It makes perfect sense because it's we're in a bar or in a saloon in the Western after we dealt with those cattle rustlers or those bandits. It's the exact same brain.
Yes. Like, you kind of want it, anything you can do to ground the party in something, in interpersonal stuff you want to do. Because then you spend less time having to think about the wide world science fiction stuff that that yeah, that is part of it, but that you don't really want to focus too much on because it ultimately isn't very interesting. Like from a purely from a players interacting with it thing, like feel, you know.
Yep. And that's fantasy always has it really easy in the okay, here's the old elven ruins, but in science fiction, oh yeah, this alien race is called the Elfnor, and they built really high spires, and we know about it because of our archaeology. And you discovered one of their ruin sites. Like you have to type out a paragraph in place of a sentence every time. And I know that's daunting for so many people, but it's really rewarding gameplay for me.
That's all of this obviously also is what you just said, dependent upon what the players want out of a game. Because I have seen really players bounce off this type of game we're describing.
Yeah, so hard. Like, so many times. And it isn't because lack of attention, lack of this, lack of that. It's just it's not for everybody. And that's just one of the other things that grabs science fiction by the shoulders and holds it firmly in place is that it's just not for everybody. It just isn't. And even the science fiction that attempted to be for everyone, even that's not for everyone. Because there's so many people I've known that bounce off of Firefly too. I mean, like, got canceled. Like, some people bounced off of it, obviously, if it got canceled.
Obviously, yeah.
And I've seen people bounce off the Expanse like crazy. And it isn't just because of the show and its setup and da-da-da. It's just because, man, it's so claustrophobic. Man, you know, all these sets are dark.
Another really good example of a campaign setting just occurred to me.
Yeah.
Futurama.
Oh, yeah.
Because Futurama is your more lightheaded setting, obviously. But stuff's constantly happening, and there's a very mundane setup of, deliver a package to the bee planet. Why is it called a bee planet? There going to be bees, and then it turns out everyone is just shaped like the letter B for some reason. And then there's a problem that you can solve. Like, the package is the vehicle, but you go there anyway, and then you have interpersonal stuff and recurring characters. It would work well as well. Thank you, Purple, by the way.
Of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention one that's very closely related to that is Guardians of the Galaxy, where you're doing more of a superhero team in space.
Yes.
Which, that can work really well depending on your group. And that usually works better if you keep it lighthearted. If you keep it serious, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
You're a bunch of guys wearing funny costumes in space. Why are you keeping this serious?
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it's been heavily implied as well that Futurama is the result of Matt Groening playing Dungeons and Dragons. So
wasn't that for the other show you did?
Yeah, that one was more direct.
Okay, so both of them it makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so you think about it for 2 seconds. There you go.
Yeah, storytelling reminds me of it for sure. With one very direct one of Disenchantment, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, Disenchantment.
Then Futurama was probably the more like inspired show, I would say, like inspired by versus reference to.
Yep, inspired by, because every single episode is supposed to be an adventure of some kind. And they deal with a lot of existential stuff on the show, but in a humorous way and so on. And yeah, I agree. Like, space comedy is one of those things that there's lots of point-and-click adventure games that did space comedy, like the Space Quest series. There were a few others that are less known that Microprose had published. But there's a lot of fodder there for you if you want to just go that route. Because if you want to add something like a weird alien race that does the Dharma Tanagra reference constantly, you can do that but in a silly setting. You don't have to sit here and explain to your players, well, talking in metaphor is like a linguistic thing that a lot of languages share, and blah, blah, blah. No, it's a silly show. Let's go.
Yep. Oh.
And in a silly universe, it's very easy to have 5 different kinds of FTL, and nobody's complaining about it.
Yes. Also want to really quickly say, firstly, yes, you're right, but secondly, I don't understand the alien a problem unless you want your game to grind to a screeching halt.
Yes. You don't want that.
Same reason why all fantasy games tend to have the universal language people speak.
Yeah.
Or a spell that just makes you speak everyone's language or something. Which, in terms of a sci-fi show, is the universal translator that tends to pop up. Or the babble fish in your head.
Yeah, exactly. That's why later installments of Star Trek, like Enterprise, where they said, well, we don't have that yet. That didn't add anything, guys.
Yeah.
That subtracted from it.
Yeah. Yep. Or at the very least, I would say, okay, since it's not a game, it's a TV show, right? It could have not subtracted from it, but the problem was that they never made it a realistic issue that they didn't have that yet.
Bingo. Like they didn't know how to write it.
The more obvious example by far is like in the Enterprise show, how, well, we don't have shields yet. And you're like, oh, so you're going to take battle damage and you're going to have to repair that? Nah, we polarize our armor and that's going to be at 50% now.
Yep.
Oh, so it's shields. It's just called something else. Thanks. Thanks for spending time setting up that you don't have shields. Yep. You're then going to immediately have shields.
Yeah. It's... I actually think that that's just something that's just smart to avoid also, is it's very tempting to have, but my universe uses this kind of shields. That's great. That's wonderful. I'm glad you're creative, but just call it shields and be done with it.
Yeah, the issue with, but my universe, this or that thing is, it has to be easily explained because there's people at your table who don't care about your fan fiction. Like, you have to make them care. That's kind of your work as the DM. You can't expect the care to just happen. And how we do it in all TTRPGs is, hi Renako, thank you for the resub, is that we tell a story where the characters are engaged, so that the players are engaged because they play the character. If you're sitting there on your throne being like, well, you can't use the shields in this way because they are based on a particle theory that I read about 6 months ago, where you blah 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 blah, and then everyone at the table say, well, okay, I guess we don't do that then. Can we do something like it, but with what you said? And they're like, and then same thing is gonna happen, but you had a shitty situation about it first. Does not help. Yeah. Man, fuck.
I'm going to use a very weird example of something that will always is always a great example of getting people invested in something quickly. And we're going to go back to the silly well, except it's not going to be Futurama. Duck Dodgers.
Okay.
It had an alien race referred to as the Clunkins. And the Clunkins were basically Yosemite Sam as an alien race. They just gave him a Viking aesthetic with some vaguely Klingon stuff, sharp teeth, pointed ears, etc. And they had them yelling, much like Yosemite Sam, at everything. Immediately, you have an alien race that everybody's like, oh, okay, I get it. It isn't that people are necessarily going to be caring about the deep, civilization or cultural issues that they might have or experience. It's just that, okay, I understand what they are immediately, so I can interface with them immediately.
One of the more immediate ways, since you're talking about this, I think, to make your sci-fi setting in more approachable and interesting, at least to the players I would like to play with, is hey guys, make up aliens. Cool, you made up aliens,
Yeah.
awesome. Here, the humans are gonna be the bad guys in this. You can't play a human, play aliens. And then you use the humans like sci-fi shows tend to use aliens, where humans are all the same. You make them all basically be Elon Musk or something.
Yeah.
Like smarmy, like self-serving assholes that are basically out for number one, who is them. Like basically mirror universe from Star Trek, evil people.
Oh yeah.
And then you just have a game about that. That could be cool. Because we all know how humans can be evil, but it might be interesting to discover how our aliens actually are more nuanced than just being green ladies who you can woo and to like fly somewhat phallic looking rocket ships.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's an instant buy-in right there. Like,
yeah.
This is an interesting framing device that I've used before, and you've experienced it. Okay, the bad guys are just this. And it's something you can easily, figure out. The evil humans, the Empire, the Galactic Federation of Evil, like whatever it is, the Guild of Calamitous Intent.
Yes.
You immediately have your buy-in because your characters will make characters that have opinions about that evil thing that's very easy to understand.
Yes.
And that fixes 90% of issues that you'll have right away, honestly. Because if you give something that's very easy to have an opinion about for everybody's character, then you're not going to have to babysit people as much with, but what is one of your character's motivations? I don't know. They just want to move freight through space. And then you can have the question, well, what happens when you encounter the evil galactic empire when you're moving things through space?
What if your freight gets stolen? What if your freight is tribbles that eat all your food? What then?
Yeah.
You can explore this, of course.
Very quickly. That's why having the things that might be antagonistic sometimes are more important than the things that are going to be allies or pals to your protagonists when you're first creating your idea.
Yes. I have another one. I'm going to put it on screen. This is a game, a very old game that my dad on his computer, so I played it back in the day, which is Star Control 2, the Urquan Masters. If you have ever interacted with this, Drake?
Yes.
Okay. Have you finished it?
No, I never did.
I did, and I did it before the internet, and I sunk like 200 hours into this game.
Holy shit!
So what does this game do that is a very good lesson about storytelling? Well, okay, in the plot of this, the Urquan have enslaved Earth as well as a bunch of other aliens in the first game. And they put all of Earth under a slave shield, which is like a planetary shield around the planet, around Earth, where you can't leave through or like go in, except if they allow it. And every few years, they're going to grab a bunch of humans, put them on a space station, put a bunch of other humans that were there down on the planet again, and be like, you run this station in case we need like fix them. We need like supplies or something. You're going to be here now. And since the humans lost the war, sucks to be them, right? And then you into this setup comes your research expedition, which was outside the sector to look at like a precursor ruin, and they found a precursor ship. You come home like, oh cool, this is Sol. Why is no one here? Oh, why is Earth red? What the fuck is going on? And then what this game does is you are the only human all the aliens interact with, because no other human can fly around right now. So your one ship is humanity to all these aliens, and also all of the aliens, you interact with them basically through a multiple choice screen that looks a little something like this, where you talk to them, and then down here you have responses, right? This game is super old, so the graphics are obviously dated, but whatever. See if there's one. Is there one with like text on screen where you could land on planets and stuff? Like usually there's like replies you can give, or like just like an example. No. Arg! Whatever shall we do? It just isn't right a thing to kill you, human, said the Ye-Hat. I can still remember all the alien names in this, because the aliens are set up really well. Like off of this one screen where you see them just poke their consoles as they interact with you. Like every single Ye-Hat you meet is going to be these two guys talking to you. And it's not always the same guys, but they're fucking aliens. They look the same to you, kind of, you know? Half a screen is off screen. What the hell? You're right. Why is that? We fixed that. Bing bong. Why is it still like that? I mean, this website is very small, but what? Let's choose this browser. It's a normal browser. Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah. These two guys I was talking about. And how this game worked is that basically all the aliens, like to make them help you, you had to solve their racial race right problem. Like, for example, the Ye-Hat here were really unhappy that another race they had found before the war started had blown themselves up. The Shofixti were like badgers who were really all about honor. They were imagined like Japanese samurai badgers.
Yes.
And they would their whole gimmick in the first game is that they are flying your scout on the good side, on the land side, and the scout has one ability. It is shoot little gun forward, which does no damage basically, and his other ability is blow itself up for big damage, but it's obviously also dead now. So your most of your tactics early game as the Alliance actually was to kamikaze into the enemy and blow yourself up. And those guys blew up the whole planet and took like a whole chunk of the Urquan fleet with them. And the Years were like, no, we like them so much. And then if you repopulate the Shofixti, because you find like some of them, you solve your problem of I only have so many humans on this station. Once we run out, it's over. Because the game, there's basically your hit points are your crew. Like if you take 1 damage, 1 crewman has died. That's how they do the damage in this game.
Oh, I love that so much still to this day. Like, yes. It really creates stakes. It really does.
Yep.
Just say it.
And then if the Shofixti come back, since they breed so quickly, like 6 months after you start repopulating, your crew cost just goes down to the minimum it can be, and you just assumedly crew all your whole ship with samurai badgers. And then the Ye-Hat will be happy that you repopulate them and also join you, and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, there's other races need other things fixed. You have to fly around to find stuff. Like not all of that is directly applicable. But I think a good idea for a setting where you want aliens is to put them very, like, either you are the only human or humans are not playable. Because you don't want to have the normal guys be the centerpiece of your show. You want it to be weirdos. Like, look at Fabula Ultima, right?
Oh, yeah.
None of our characters would be markedly improved by being human. They wouldn't be more interesting for it. No. Would they be less interesting necessarily? No. But, like, thinking about, okay, would a snake go over ice? I guess it's easy for you. Yeah, actually, it would be. Like those little things, they add to the immersion of the players in a big way.
To use the phrase that we've used so often now, it's a value add.
Yeah.
To be not human.
And then I really think the ideal fucking way to use humans in your setting is to make them the bad guys.
Yeah. It really is. There are ways, of course, of combining additional tropes into space. There's one show I haven't touched on. I'm just going to specifically refer to the remake of the show rather than the original. Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
The idea that for those who don't know, the premise is we made these robots, the Cylons, they rebelled, they killed nearly all of us. We made peace, and then we flourished, and then they came back again and killed almost all of us again. With the Battlestar Galactica being like the sole source of humanity left. There's some humans here and there, but that's pretty much it. That premise can work really, really well for a long-term campaign of desperation, exploration, survival, attempting to use ancient star charts to go to new places because we never had to really escape from an alien menace.
Yeah.
This is also present in Titan AE, if anybody's seen that movie.
Oh, God, long time ago.
Where Earth is exploded and humans are the cockroaches of the galaxy.
Yeah. Always a very good trope if Earth exploded. As for Wagons, what if Worms in space? That's basically what I'm saying about aliens, right? Because if I make up an alien species that is like from an ammonia planet and they have to have like the envirosuits to walk around in most places and stuff, that's interesting. That's cool. We're gonna have some fun thinking about it and thinking about interesting and like personal stake solutions to problems. Like, how would my mom walk on land? Well, I guess we have some sort of conveyance. Maybe it has a big robot pants that you strap to your hips.
Yeah, big robot pants. Oh my god! No, it's metal image. Dang it, Bobby! Put on your big robot pants so you can walk on land like the humans do.
Yeah.
Hank Hill Mermaid is just a crazy mental image now, but it's there forever.
No, God, Hank Hill
Mermaid. Propane-powered big robot pants.
Yeah. And then if Wagons is like, no, I hate the idea. And they're like, yeah, okay, what is it then? And then you come up with something. Like, right? Yeah, cool.
Have fun with it.
It helps, because then your players get personally immersed in it.
Invested.
As water and water accessories. Yes. I imagine if Hank was just like a fish merchant.
Oh wow, that's actually very appropriate.
Would have had more of a personal relationship with Dale. Could have like gone crayfish hunting or whatever.
You want to go crayfish hunting? That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, that's that. I struggle to think of more things at this point. I don't know. Like,
because pretty much everything up to this point is like examples. Because what we've got a number of different really good ways to do your premise, your setup. You can do comedy, you could do Star Trek, you could do Casablanca in space, also known as Deep Space Nine or Babylon 5. You could do a lot of different setups.
Yes.
The setups that aren't really good for long campaigns is pure space horror. And when I say pure, I mean, oh god, we literally can't fight back against anything ever.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Yeah, does not.
It just doesn't. Because inevitably everybody's just going to die in a really bad way. It's different if it's terrestrial, like you land on a planet and you do the movie Pitch Black.
Orion. Yes, true.
Or the Thing. Like then you have a bottle thing going on.
Yeah, Wagons asked if either of you heard of the Orion's Arm sci-fi narrative archive. I have not.
Orion's Arm sci-fi narrative. I've not heard of it. No.
I want to. While you look that up, I want to talk more about the Urk-1 Masters because it's now in my brain. The game does a lot of things right for its time. Let me see if I can see a screenshot of the thing I mean here. Like this little ship and this map. This is the screen you go to when you are like harvesting resources. Because obviously no one's doing that for you on a planetary scale, so you have to do it yourself. So you fly this little landing ship around and slurp up these bubbles that represent resources. and it takes like under a minute each time you do it, because it's like the thing moves fast, especially if you upgrade it. But you dodge the fires and the explosions. Like, this is an earthquake, this is a fire, and depending on where you go in a system, there might be different hazards. But each time it only takes a minute. This is a better system to find resources than even Mass Effect had. Because also, each time this guy takes damage, that's the crewman dead.
Yeah.
And each time it takes 12 damage, you see down here, if you count the bubbles, or 14 damage, ship destroyed. You build a new one, costs resources. Also, you have to do it at home. You can't just build it like on this. So, landing on Mercury is a bit of a risk, you know. It's not great. Maybe don't until you have these fire shields or something. But it only took a minute, because they knew if they made this an actual big focus of the game, it would be fucking bad. But this is a mini game. It's solid. And that's why we circle it back to like our discussion about you can't make it about scavenging directly.
Yeah.
Like what you should be doing in this example. Let's say we want to scavenge Mercury for resources. Well, player characters, find a solution for the firestorms, please. Could you maybe go to a treat with these aliens that we know that have fire shields? So they sell us a few. Oh, they have other problems that you need to solve. Well, I guess solve them. We need the fire shields, guys. But then don't have the players then go to Mercury to like mine uranium. That would be the mistake.
I guess it's another thing. Another point to add in is don't be afraid for your party to be as unique as they could be in a fantasy game. Don't be afraid to let them be piloting the Defiant or what was the name of the ship in Mass Effect? The Normandy. Don't be afraid. Just do it. And then if you want to do cool upgrades to it, have a system for it. Have them gather resources and do things.
I'm still a bit miffed to this day that they call Andy like a normie in that. That for 3 games and no one says anything. Like, poor Andy.
Poor Andy. Good old Norm Andy.
Yeah.
But the thing is
that's what I'm saying, you know.
I'm glad that Deep Space Nine retroactively did an homage to him with Morn.
Yes.
All right, that was a multi-layered joke there, referring to Cheers.
Well, I am going to check that out, but I don't know of it. No.
They have lots of stuff on there, lots of videos, lots of articles, lots of everything.
Nice,
beautiful. So,
if it's a kind of like probably good inspiration source then for like your sci-fi game if you want to run one.
Yeah, basically, like, if I was somebody saying, okay, I just want to run a game, and then I wanted to use that, you would treat it kind of like the SCP wiki for an SCP/X-Files game.
Oh, yeah, sure. It makes sense.
Yeah, sort of like that, looks like.
Yeah. Another small thing to mention, which is kind of apropos to the picture we are seeing, right? Why is it such a meme that there's an interesting thing reflecting in the visor of this astronaut? Because they found fucking rocks on the moon and that's it.
Yeah.
They spent billions of dollars to win the space race against the Ruskies, which arguably they didn't because the Ruskies did every other thing first.
Literally.
But whatever you think about that, is really important. They went to the moon, declared victory, and then went there like 10 times and then never again. Why? Because it's just rocks. We might be going back now because there's water there, but for God's sake, make there be interesting things to find if 2 players are sitting out to do this kind of exploration.
Please don't make it Ironbound, Starsworn. Don't make it that, because there was so much not interesting in that game. Even though the game was kept saying over and over, use these random generation tables to encounter these interesting creatures. Cool. I rolled a mega amphibious creature that is on a hostile sulfur planet. Can you please stop? Like,
Yeah. I guess it's dead. Most of these
it's
creatures
dead.
seem to be dead.
We find it's a massive corpse. That's what we
Yeah.
find as soon as we step off of our spaceship.
Yeah. Also, you are dead because this is the planet is hostile to you. Forgot you put your fucking spacesuit on.
Oh no. It's very Space Quest to imagine that. It's very Space Quest and other point and click games. You forgot to put on your spacesuit and die. But yeah, just that you have to make it interesting. Like, why are we doing this is a question that you do have to ask yourself as the DM when we're doing these space exploration things. Because, oh, but the table said that there'd just be rocks there. Shut up. Stop DMing. Go watch a movie, then come back. It doesn't matter what movie.
I would actually say start DMing because yes, you can use random generation in your game, but you have to still do work first.
Yeah, that's why I said stop. Go watch a movie because you have to do anything.
Like
anything.
The DM that just rolls the dungeon randomly. That's a meme for a reason.
Yep.
Why is there a spike trap on the ceiling? Oh, who knows?
It's kind of weird to have in this ice cave.
Yeah. Also, the next room is full of lava. Yeah.
I've played under that DM. I've played under that DM, and they were the DM that just took the results literally. They didn't like, oh yeah, we can craft a story around this. It was like, no.
I did this one time for the Plane of Limbo.
Oh.
Where it made sense. This was we were literally going on the Plane of Limbo, and there was a dungeon. Go, and then I just started rolling. Because I was like, I don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know either. We're using these stupid tables in this book that I paid for. And that was fun as a gimmick, but that I didn't hide from the players. But it wouldn't have been fun to do that over and over.
And it's less fun in a science fiction game because people are always asking why in a science fiction game, even more so than any other kind of game. If you're playing your Fallout game, well, we find a plasma rifle. We're not asking why. We're picking it up and then we're shooting the Deathclaw that's chasing us.
Yeah. Another tip / obvious thing that still needs talking about is make your sci-fi settings still be clunky sci-fi with problems.
Yes.
Because you want to be able to present issues to the party. Because if a problem is, we have to get to the other side of this ravine, and we're on the Enterprise, then the person is going to be like, Enterprise, can you beam me on the other side of this ravine? And the Enterprise is going to be like, yeah, sure. And they're going to beam you there. And there's only so many times you can say, no, there's interference, because before that becomes its own meme. But if it's a technology level of like Alien, where it's basically we are flying a refinery through space, and it looks like we have many pipes here that do things, and it's recognizable almost as a real like industrial place. Then it makes sense that we would need a flamethrower to unthaw to thaw out like some of the pipes that become cold in the space, so on and so forth. So there you can have logic and explanation for why things exist that just wouldn't be possible if you're doing too sleek futury sci-fi.
It's that's part of the reason why I always default to talking about like truckers in space is because when you focus on the blue collar aspect of things to any degree, it doesn't matter how much you do it, just have it there.
Yeah.
It immediately creates we will solve problems in interesting ways versus if it's totally sterile, like we're going to use the transporter, we're going to use the replicator, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. You're fighting yourself very quickly because you're creating memes.
You can even have these things. This can't be available to the players.
Exactly.
Like it is great if the enemy can beam down. Like maybe not always, not for the players for sure, but at least it's an interesting gimmick. Like we have to put up the interference makers because otherwise they're going to beam down on us. Stuff like that, right? buy us time to do this thing that we need to do and leave before they find us. But yeah, if you give the players too many tools, the tools become, or too powerful tools rather, those become the solve everything device, and then the game is no longer interesting. Because, like, yeah, you can say all day that Miles O'Brien is just the guy who beams people around, but you're not going to roll on a beam check every time. And even if you are, it's not going to be interesting.
No, because, and this is one of those things, going back to where we started with, rolling for a lot of things for pass-fail feels really bad in science fiction.
Yep.
If you're going to make him do a beam check every time, wow, that's a high attrition rate.
Yeah.
Really? Wow, you killed another science officer this week. Good job, Miles.
That's the logic of Cthulhu, where to do a job professionally, you need 50% in the skill. So every second time you have to roll the skill, you actually don't do it mathematically.
You crash the plane.
Yeah, you crash the plane, you fuck up on the psychology, which I guess is realistic for the 1920s. 50% is probably a pretty good like margin. It might be unrealistic there, but I digress. Like, yeah,
I just this is why science fiction is very aided by having things that are just professional things that you do that you're probably never going to roll for, but it's within your wheelhouse. Like going back to Space Trucker, you're probably never going to roll to do normal maintenance. You just aren't. But preparing that battle damage, suddenly I have to roll. That's fine.
That's why like keyword stuff is good in science fiction, I feel, where it's like, oh, I'm the pilot. Can I fly this thing through the asteroid field? Yes. The only time you would have to roll that if you're also being chased by somebody or something, you know? Like stuff where it defines your character is cool and good always, but especially in science fiction, because it will speed up the game there for you.
Yep, it does. Also, you can create drama through this as well. Oh no, the guy who normally does this thing is injured.
Yeah.
Now we have to figure out what to do. Like, that could be fun. That could be interesting. That can add something. Or it can be really droll because you're back to rolling pass-fail checks. The point is that you've got to make it narratively interesting, not mechanically interesting.
Yes. Like the situation where the guy can't fly, so he has to explain to you how to fly and how do you roleplay that. That is interesting. The roll after is just a pass-fail in the end.
Yeah.
And if the failure is, we all die, because again, the stakes tend to be like that more in science fiction than in other things. Just on because of spaceships and space being a very unforgiving place to make a mistake in.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel great.
No, it really doesn't.
So your fails usually can't be fatal fails. So why are we rolling?
Exactly. That's why resource systems are so important in science fiction games. They're so important. The guy who's named Gary, who is the backup pilot, he's really not that good at piloting. He always accidentally uses extra fuel. Cool. Yeah. All right. Then we've got a narrative thing we can roll with. Like, it's something. Is it good? Probably not. But it's something.
It depends how you use that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I would say the idea of Gary who's extra free, like that's a bit too simplistic, but you can build on that. Like you could get something out of that if you like percolate it a bit more.
Oh yeah, it's a good starting place. That's why we'll refer to probably the worst game from this year, Ironbound Starsworn.
Oh gosh.
The problem with that game is that there was one generic resource for everything. Having extra guns, having extra diapers, having extra fuel, having extra whatever.
I balk against you saying it only had one problem. However, you are correct. That is definitely one of the big ones.
It's one problem. No, it had tons of problems. But that problem is very specific to a thing that you really shouldn't be having in science fiction. You should be tracking multiple resources if you're going to be doing that. And if you're not, cool, just make it narrative and make it fun, make it interesting. But the games that only track one thing, no.
To jump on the other the other biggest problem, Star Swan Battle, whatever it was, Iron Sky.
I always forget things like
is that game is like, oh, we all want to swear this oath and abide by it, and then the game's never going to explain why.
Yeah,
it's just going to say you want to do it, and the first instinct I have, and many players have, to something like that is, but I don't do it though. I don't want to do it though. I don't want to have sworn this stupid oath. Why is this so important? At least explain that. Like, if your game just fails as a game if you can't even explain the conceit of your setting.
Yeah.
It's off of that alone, Iron Sky Starbound failed. Yeah. I refuse to say its name now.
Yeah. It's good. Star Iron Valley. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. That's the big thing. Big takeaway. Science fiction requires you have a stronger conceit.
Yep.
Because you don't have anything to fall back on. You have to have a strong conceit.
Again, everybody knows what a wizard is. Not everyone knows what a Urugong is. And you can tell them, yeah, that's like an alien race I made up there, like 7 foot tall purple people eater guys. It's still going to be, so then they're going to be called the purple people eater guys from this point forth, because no one's going to remember your alien name. Like, it needs more buy-in, and it needs people to like work it in. Like, even I, after 14 sessions of Fabula Ultima, still catch myself saying Lizardmen when we have made up names for them that are different. Why? Because it's a good shorthand, ultimately. I'm sorry, it is.
It just is, because every all fantasy uses it.
Yeah.
All. Like, gosh, I'm just trying to think of all the science fiction that I liked and all the science fiction I didn't like. And all the science fiction I liked, they had strong premises. All of them, universally. There wasn't one that had a weak premise that I liked. It doesn't exist.
Do I have other good examples stuff?
And of course, there's plenty of anime.
Yeah, there's a lot of anime is like more cyberpunk / punky thing, though. Like, real actual sci-fi anime that is actually sci-fi is not that common.
Yeah, it's really not.
Like, okay, there's like Galactic Heroes, there's Gundam, of course. Like, I'm not saying it's, if I say it's not common, I mean it is comparatively rarer than, like, let's say high school anime, for example.
Yeah.
It still exists, of course. And I would say those, like, Galactic Heroes is really good, a really good show. I hear, because I bounce off of it twice because it starts very boring.
Oh, yeah, I feel that. I feel that. And then you have your classic, like, Space Battleship Yamato, which I've encountered people emulating, and I'm like, okay, well, it has a strong premise. So
Yamato is a melodrama delivery service, though. Like, it's not really sci-fi. It's more like sci-fi aesthetic with melodrama as its actual plot, which I guess we are telling you to do that too for your game. So yeah, let's go.
We are. Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because like the show Battlestar Galactica, the remake, it's really not a good science fiction show. It's a very good drama show, though.
Yeah.
It's a very good military drama as well. And a lot of space stuff ends up going that direction one way or another. It's, mixed results. But at the same time, if you want something that's a solid basis, and then also you can check out the parody of something I forgot the name of, Space Battleship Yamato, Irresponsible Captain Tyler.
Oh, Captain Tyler's great.
Yeah, and that's a great example of how to do, yes, it's silly, but it has quite a few serious elements. Like, they have Space Marines that get in their own personal battle suits / mechs that resemble the ones from the Starship Troopers novel. And they make fun of that constantly, that it's so silly that they have to get into these tin cans and then be shot out of the ship to punch things. Like, you can have so much fun with these ideas if, you take that step back and go, okay, this is a little silly or a lot silly, depending on how much silly you want. and that can aid. Because you stop. The point is that in science fiction you ask why a lot. You always do, and whatever you can take to make yourself stop asking why and instead be in the moment doing the thing is good. It really is.
Oh yeah.
Irresponsible Captain Tyler answers all of those things very quickly through its own silly lore. And other anime has too, like that. Like, yes, all of this eventually bridges into mecha stuff,
Yeah.
but that's really its own conversation.
Mecha, they love their mecha, yes. Oh yeah, we should talk about that briefly. Having now played Lancer for like a few sessions, I want to say that Lancer is for me an example where it's a very tight rule set, very good about combat. But if you're not just there for the mech fighting, then they leave you alone too much with the setting that makes no sense.
Yeah, they really do.
You hinted at that like 90 minutes ago or something when you said, why can we only bring 3 things into Shinji's cockpit? Yeah.
Yep.
Why is it a rule that we start with 3 items for our pilot in a game where we can print a mech easily between missions? Why can't I just have as much bullshit stuff as I want? It doesn't even really matter.
No.
Like, personal items shouldn't be that rare. Like, sure, I might not be bringing them, but still, you know. And where Lancer for me, campaign-wise, fits, I would love to play Lancer just as a fighting game.
Yeah.
As I theory crafted this mech lance, let's try it out game. It's really, I would pay $AAA for a game on the computer that does this for me. I mean it. Give it to me. But if I have to play it in any setting, the problem arises where there's so little about the setting that you actually explain, or that I agree with. That's the other problem. That it becomes hard for me to engage with it.
Yeah, that's really hard too. Because
again, like if I can go to my replicator and be like, GMC Everest hot, and it gives me one. Yeah. Then why would I not do that for like personal stuff and medical supplies before a mission?
Or your tent even, because that was a separate item. And I was like, why the fuck is the tent separate? What the fuck?
That's so weird.
And then there's the other problem, and it's a very specific problem to systems like this. Why is my personal armor better at taking a rocket launcher to the chest than my mech is?
Yep. Depending what you pick, yes, it's so weird.
Yeah, because the armor you can have an armor of 2 in your personal armor, and then the mech you pick, it's got an armor of 0, and you can only go up to 3. What? Huh?
Yep. If that was like its only issue, I would not even mention it. Because you aren't really meant to be in your armor, you know.
No, not.
But you're meant to be in your mech. It's fine. We might be in your armor because of story reasons, but then the game also never really gives you a story reason to be outside your mech at all.
At all, for any reason ever.
So yeah, Lancer, really good, tight rules. I miss the setting around it. I miss the setting being actually interesting.
Yeah.
And that's really the high bar to clear, as we have talked about now for 2 hours, is that setting is hard for science fiction.
It really is. I can come up with generic stuff very easily and then have it play out and have it be fun. But the thing is that, like, as we keep going to also in this deep well, having it connect to a system, mechanics, to other things, that's super important, that whatever system you have is willing to actually do that lifting. Because science fiction, even more so than anything else, once again, you need to give me the thing that works, please, because I can't shorthand my way out of everything constantly. Science fiction game, I just can't.
Yes.
Fantasy, we certainly can. Mech game, I think we also can. But space game, I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I can't just give you a paragraph on how relativity works with the FTL drive. Please give me
Yes.
that heavy lifting.
Yes.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, like that's what it boils down to on Lancer for me also. And I don't know. I know what they were onto with the whole post scarcity print a mech, but there's a reason why people reach out towards BattleTech like it's the holy grail repeatedly when it comes to mech stuff. And it isn't because we love all of the factions.
People have played BattleTech with its shitty rules. Oh, okay. The mech combat doesn't have shitty rules, but they are old rules, outdated rules at this point.
Yeah,
they're overly nitty-gritty, boring rules. For 50 years. Why? Because the setting is good.
Yeah.
Setting is fucking awesome.
Compelling, interesting, deep. Can tell whatever story you want in it. You can tell a capitalist story, a communist story, a clans fighting against each other story. You can invent a clan and put it in. You can invent a corporation and put it in. You can use what's there. You can make up your own. It's very easy.
Yep. And that's what Lancer really didn't do and should have done with its story. Yeah. Like, not steal it, but just give us a story, you know?
You give us one, The why question, once again.
Yes, that's another thing. Like, BattleTech also has, like, a house-sized amount of books out that the authors have written in it for them.
For literally 50 years.
Yeah. On top of all the gaming books that just deal directly with TTRPGs or with the war game. Or both, because they're intertwined. Like, they are so directly comparable. And one really failed. It's very telling now to me that, or interesting to me rather, that one of them completely fails in the rules department because they just are still using the very old rules that they made up a long time ago. While the other completely fails to set up a setting that's interesting. If only they could be combined.
If I was Catalyst Game Labs, or whatever the fuck the company is called now, I forget, the one that owns the building.
Yeah, no idea.
But, I don't remember the name. Yeah. I would sit down with, I would actually pay for their plane ticket for them to come and sit down, the creators of Lancer, and say, hey, we want to completely shake things up and do a totally new rule system. We want you to write it like how you wrote Lancer. Can you please do that? Yeah. And then we'll work with you to make it happen, and we'll pay you lots of money.
Yeah. Then the Lancer people should be like, are we allowed to slaughter any of the holy cows that you have? Because you have so many in this rule set.
So many.
Like headshots and weapons having particular ranges and particular damages and ablative armor and so on and so on and so on and so on. And then if the answer is no, then you don't do it, and sadly it will never happen.
Yep.
But
exactly.
Yeah, modernize that shit and put the Lancer rules in it. It would be a fucking banger.
Yeah.
Give me all the stuff around the Lancers that Lancer doesn't have, like looting stuff, actual scarcity. The idea of, like, instead of leveling up, you can salvage a component out of something and put it in your mech. So that kind of thing is so much cooler.
Using advanced miniaturization technology to add another gun, but you have to get the C-bills to get there. Like, there's so much.
I would already say that is a holy cow I wouldn't want to slaughter, but it must be like the idea of, okay, we defeated this boss mech, you know, that we defeated the 100-ton clan mech. Do we get any clan loot? And then the answer is yes, you can get the clan Gauss rifle, which does this, which is better than your normal Gauss rifle. Congratulations, yay! And everyone's happy, like something. Because,
all right, here is the thread that draws science fiction and fantasy together, because this is common for all TTRPGs. It doesn't matter what TTRPG you're playing. Even if it's the Toon game, it's a thing. People want to get stuff. And we're not even talking like in a capitalistic sense. We're just, people want stuff.
Yes.
Your Bugs Bunny character might want the bag of endless pies.
Mm.
You don't have one, but you want one.
Yes.
And you're going to go on a quest to get one.
Yes.
Even then, that's a thing. That's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In BattleTech,
and
getting stuff. What?
I want to quickly interject. Stuff doesn't even have to be physical.
No, it doesn't.
Like it can be knowledge of something. But you have to strive for something new for your character. Character development can be that stuff. They don't gain anything. They might lose stuff, but they changed, so that's worth it.
Exactly. And as a result, you have personal development, learning that the bag of endless pies was not important, but the friends we made along the way were. Even things that are that basic and tropey. It's a through line, and Lancer doesn't have that. It just doesn't.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. We did 2 hours on this. Do we want to change to... Do we have news?
News. I don't really have any good news, because that was one of the things that I was having a hard time finding.
Same.
I did find that TTRPG news website, but then it's just buy this 5th edition supplement.
There's a small mention for people, which I found. Let me just...
Oh, yeah.
It's not really so much news as just a thing that is going on. Let me make my browser correctly. And then pull this over. Why is it not loading? Why is it green? Oh my god, that's their website, I guess. The Golden Fez Awards are happening. What is this? Well, it's like a TTRPG award thing. And right now, I do not know why it looks like this. I have no idea why they made it green. When I looked at it on mobile, it wasn't, but whatever.
My eyes.
Oh, I guess it's the different website. It's not the official one. Do we have a link to this shit? I guess that may be a thing. Okay, wait. Or is this actually the fair? Oh no, it's Solarian Games. They are doing it. So this is their website. Holy crap! Why is it green, guys? Stop it. But anyway,
stop it. Please don't need to go back to the 90s for this, guys. Stop.
You can right now send in nominations if you would like. I'm not sure what the consideration is, but there are a bunch of categories that you can submit for. So maybe you want to do that. Okay, Golden Fez Awards. Here, that's the name. There you go. It ends sometime in early January, the submission stage. And they have an email. You can send them an email. And let's do. Why not do that? Let's see what stuff gets in. Like if I'm gonna say this right now, if this award awards anything to D&D, it's dead to me.
Yeah, exactly.
This is kind of like a smell test for this. This is a new thing. If you award D&D anything except most has-been game, you're out for me. Like
permanently.
Yeah.
Like D&D 5th edition, as it stands today, it has not innovated in a single way at all.
Yes.
It should never receive rewards for that. The art, I think, still... I know I'm being a real snob about their art. I really feel it took a step backwards in a lot of bad ways. I feel like even how the book is set up, just lots of things were step was taken back. So anybody who would say, yeah, they should get an award, fuck you. Just anybody.
Okay, they have these 8 awards. Let's talk about that, Drake.
Yeah, new game mechanic.
So I would nom this SCP game for its dice system. Because because the more it's been on my brain, it's good. It's just good.
It's good, and you don't roll that many dice, because so many systems like that, you wind up rolling 20 or 30 dice, and now it's just 4 at most.
Yep.
Unless special circumstance.
Yep.
Yeah.
You might have to reroll some, but that's normal. That's what happens in other games too.
pick up and play. For this year,
I don't know if it has to be for the year.
Okay.
Like, but let's just say it doesn't matter. My award for that is, since it's a new award, they probably can go like all the way back. Pick up and play. If you say this year, it's going to be the Abbott game, the Abbey game.
Oh yeah, that one is really easy.
I
would dominate Blister Critters.
Oh, Blister Critters is also really good. You're right.
Yeah, super easy
game to learn. Yeah, I would. Yeah, both of them are valid. I would say both of them. I would say deserve a reward. Yeah. The Velvet Smooth Award for Best Design and Production.
Rosewood Abbey.
Rosewood Abbey, yes. You're right. Yeah, let's give Rosewood Abbey that one because I really love the design of that book. Yes.
It's just, it's the one that stands out to me. Like, I can think of everything else this year. That's the one that just smacks me right in my neurons.
Yeah. Oh, Break for Design and Production. That's also a good one. Yes. But now from context clues we learn the Everlasting Fun Factory Award for Best Game published prior to 2024. So I guess all of these are for 2024, which Break is older than that. But yes, Break's design is super smooth. I agree.
It really is.
Everlasting Fun Factory for Best Game published. Shadowrun, obviously. Fuck.
Yeah.
4th edition specifically. There you go. I have to stand it forever. It's my life.
I have to criticize this website. The missed opportunity to say the Evergreen Fun Factory.
Yeah.
Because of their fucking background.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that is like how I would think of it. Is this an evergreen game that we're just going to keep returning to? And yeah, it's Shadowrun. I would say World of Darkness, but the problem is with most World of Darkness stuff, we do run out of stories to tell.
Yeah,
and I have.
It's like with World of Darkness, I guess, like you always have something to tell in the World of Darkness, but it's hard to do it in a consistent campaign.
It's hard.
Because
it's hard to play Gangrel twice in a row. It's compared to Shadowrun, you can play an Adept twice in a row, and that would be totally different.
Actually, that's an interesting point to make because, like, my issue have always been, if I think about DMing for World of Darkness, that I'm like, oh, this idea would be good for a Hunter game, and that idea would be good for a Werewolf game, and that idea would be good for a Vampire game, and then I have 3 ideas and no campaign because now I have, because those ideas can't be played by one character.
No, they can't. But Shadowrun, since the focus is on team rather than splat.
Yeah,
like the exception, of course, is always Mage the Ascension, but I cannot nominate Mage the Ascension for things like this because Mage has a huge buy-in.
Yeah.
It's not everlasting fun for that reason.
Yeah, Mages, I really want to play it though. Okay, whatever. Yeah, let's go get the next one. The Forge of Destiny Award for World Building. So this is this year.
Oh man.
If the Discworld RPG was already out, I would say that one.
Yeah, because like it's weird. Like Discworld is in a weird place where you can just look at it and you know what you're being dealt, even if you haven't read any lore on it.
Like I'm not. At this point, we have to kind of look up RPG releases 2024.
Let's see.
Because not upcoming.
World building. Because world building is hard because so few people actually focus on it these days.
These are fucking computer games, you stupid web internet. What is going on with you?
I got the same result.
Okay. So let's see. Okay, we have 14 here. Oh, Break was this year.
Break was this year.
I was sure it was older. Okay. So, okay. Upcoming this year. Dungeons and Dragons, fuck off. King Arthur Pendragon 6e. It's a 6th edition. I don't care that hard.
Okay.
Daggerheart. We have been ragging on it a bunch. I hope it replaces D&D. Stormlight Archive RPG? I have no idea. What is? I guess we cook all sorts of things. Looks cool. Oh, we looked at this before. I remember seeing this before. But these aren't even. This is freaking. What? Oh, this is a link to your. Yeah, the thing that's cool isn't even the RPG I was referring to. This is Break. Yeah. Okay, whatever. This website also sucks.
Man, does it have to be an RPG or could it be a supplement? That's another good question.
I guess supplement would be okay by this logic.
All right.
This is just world building.
The one that kept appealing to me that we haven't reviewed or even looked at is Obajima. The one that's the inspired by Studio Ghibli RPG.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's so beautiful.
This looks cool. Outgun looks cool. You should look at that. Ooh.
Find a good picture.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing this.
Yeah, and part of the reason, of course, is you just look at the art. It's obviously Studio Ghibli inspired. But then it's also like the interior art is similar.
Yeah,
and they just go all the way with it.
I see one of my trigger words that though it's 5e compatible.
I know. If they did it as a Fabula Ultima supplement, I think that they would make money.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna make more money with 5e. It remains the
Sadly.
problem. Well, let's hope that changes.
Yeah, but that's the one that we've seen, but we haven't reviewed.
Yeah, not yet.
Because
anyway.
It's 5e compatible.
Yeah. Okay. Next one. The Hack the Planet Award for most unexpected idea. 2024 games. I was gonna say what we reviewed. Fuck it. Can't be.
We can't be arsed.
I closed the list of games. Fuck. Where do I have it? Yeah. So 2024 Vase and Twilight 2000 Most Sentient Comics. Deadlands Immortal Invisible War Space God. Wait, what was it? What was the idea? Unexpected. Okay. The most unexpected idea I ever seen in an RPG ever was Immortal the Invisible War being like, well, everything that could go wrong is you roll against that, and if you're a single one, you fail. It doesn't say
it broke my brain just by rehashing it. Holy shit.
They didn't say it had to be a good idea. It's the most unexpected idea.
Yeah. Rosewood is very unexpected as well.
Yeah, Rosewood honestly should also be mentioned.
Should win a lot of rewards because of the fact that it's just unexpected. It's got a lot of good art, etc. And the thing is that like most of that art was what do they refer to it as? Free use open source art. Which the creator bluntly said, yeah, you should do this.
Yeah.
If art is free, please, you should do it because that's what the creator wants. Whoever created that art and said it's open source.
Yes.
Bucket of Blood award for best combat rules.
So I'm gonna break a leg for Fabula here because it's so dead easy for the DM.
It really is. And I will add on to that. Fabula Ultima also stands as the best combat rules for you to add 1 or 2 or 3 mechanics onto and have it still maintain the same flavor.
Yep.
The creators even suggested if you want a forward/back position, like in Final Fantasy VI or other games, go for it.
Yeah.
It'll fit fine.
Yeah. Like what really sends me with this is that legitimately I knew the enemies I was gonna put in the game, like for yesterday, for example. I was able to stat them out just within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that is with writing everything down in the game channel, like literally an hour before the game. And I'm not stressed ever about doing that because I know it's easy. Like the only exception to that would be if I have to design like a boss fight or with cool mechanics and this thing going on, right? That's more involved. But if it's just like, oh, this is an ice guy, but they're gonna have this attack, and this unexpected attack, and there's a big ice guy. They're gonna have a shield spell because why not? They put ice shields up. It's cool. And it helps against fire specifically, because they would have that because they're fucking ice guys, right? They need that. So then I just write it down. It's super easy. And no other game I know is this easy to do that with, except Shadowrun. And Shadowrun is only that easy because Shadowrun you can always boil it just down to, well, I guess he has 10 dice. I guess he has 8 dice or 6 dice.
Yes, exactly.
And not even engage with the rules, which is good. But in Fabula, I'm engaging with the rules, and it's still good.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And last but not least, Game of the Year 2024. Fabula. And I know it's a year old. It's older than that, but fuck you.
Yep. I mean, that's the one.
That's just give it to the latest supplement. I don't know.
Yeah. And if it had to be 2024, we'd say SCP RPG, second edition.
Yeah. True. They can both win. Can play Fabula SCP. Fabula SCP. It would actually kind of work. Holy crap.
It would. That's the thing. That's the big thing about all of this, is that the things that we are rating the highest, like Shadowrun, World of Darkness, SCP RPG, Fabula Ultima, all 4 of these have the value add of, can I boil this down? And you can every time in all 4 of them.
Yep. It helps so much.
It does. It really does. And that's the main impediment to science fiction role-playing games, is saying that sentence, well, okay, let's boil it down. People go, whoa, we can't though. What's FTL? How does it work?
Yeah. That's why, again, if you want to play sci-fi, honestly, just dip your toe into Shadowrun, because you're going to get the very crunchy game with lots of intricacies. That is ultimately boils down to a very simple rule set. And all the crunch matters mainly to the player characters. That's good, because that's where the crunch should be concentrated, because your players should feel engaged with the rules and engaged with like making their character better within the confines of the rules. While you as the DM can be like, nah, this wizard has 11 dice for soaking. I don't know why. I guess it's 5 willpower and 6 charisma or something. I don't know. Yeah. And then you are done with making that wizard, because now you can just think about like, I guess you need to think about spells, but that's about it. And that is nice. And then if you want to put more work in, you can, but you're not going to have to do it ever for like the guard at the corner.
No, you just don't.
Like maybe this guy's a cyber armor is 2 strength, more strength dice because of it. Like, it's close enough to the rules as written that it makes that you can play it. It makes sense. It's good. It's fine.
A Lancer is kind of like old school D&D in that eventually you get to that point. But as a new GM, that does not happen. It just does not happen. Yeah,
I get that, because especially I think playing it out is actually difficult because the rules are very deep in Lancer.
Yeah. It's not shallow. It's not shallow.
Yeah. Which is why Fabula wins, because Fabula's like, well, what can you do on your turn? Well, basic move is to just bonk somebody with your weapon. You can also cast a spell or bonk somebody with your weapon while using a special attack. Or
use a skill.
Use a skill of some kind.
Yell at somebody that they smell bad and they lose mind points. Yep.
Yeah. Elderberries, they really smell bad. Who knew? So there we go. Talked about that for a moment. I don't think I will send anything in, because with all of these awards, I'm always curious what the public thinks, and I know me telling them, "Hey, put Fabula Ultima in every category, guys," isn't going to do that anyway. But also, I don't want to influence it in any way. You know, that's my thought with all of these award things.
I'm kind of there too. I have no interest in becoming the needle. I want to report where the needle is.
Yeah. Or just stare and be like, what? Also, how is your website fucking green? I don't understand. Is this a color picker? No. I wish. You can see it in the corner on the top there that there's like this multicolor thing. Clicking it just sends you somewhere. Oh, that's actually why is it like this? Why is it terrible? Like not your offerings, to be clear. I'm talking about your this. And the colors sent me, and I like big color. I like saturated colors, but this is terrible. Design your website better, guys, please.
God.
Oh no. No, we're leaving this now.
Yeah.
So yeah. Do we have more? Is this kind of it?
I think this should be it.
All right.
This should be it.
Then,
I think we hit
to
it hard.
recap things. So next week on Saturday, we are going to do our yearly review over on Drake's channel.
Yep.
That involves rating the games that we talked about as best, worst, and most forgettable.
Mm-hmm.
That involves looking back at the year, talking about what happened, talking about like things we did, things that happened, everything. And then we're going to be on hiatus for a bit, and then we're going to return in January with the reviews again. Yeah.
Yep. Reviews, TBA.
Yes, TBA. Drake is on first with that, but we don't know. But we will decide. We'll decide during the downtime. I know my first game. I'm going to reveal that right now because why not? Locke has poked me about the Final Fantasy game that someone is writing on itch, which is like unofficial, naturally. And apparently it has like 60 classes in it, so I was like, okay, we're looking at that just off of that information.
Yeah. Totally worth it then. Yeah. In my case, I already figured it out because I was able to get a PDF of it.
Okay.
The Outgunned RPG.
And the important part, Outgunned. Yeah, this was what you linked earlier. That looks cool. It looks like modern day stunt driven, Fast and Furious kind of game. Like yes, like this picture is all we need to really know.
We need stuff that is in that arena a lot because these games are the basis for other things to come. Like they always are.
Yes.
And also the other thing is we'll do predictions for next year.
Oh yeah, we do.
Did last time. Yeah.
Heck yeah. I forgot what we predicted. Did it come true for this year?
One of the things I predicted came out true. I predicted that 5th edition with the revamp would draw from Blades in the Dark for inspiration, and then they did because now we have the strongholds that are kind of similar to the districts that you hold.
No, why did you speak that specifically into existence? No.
And the reason why I say it's similar is because you're just given it. Like, you don't have to do anything for it.
Yeah.
Just like in Blades of the Dark.
I guess Blades actually has ways for it to go wrong, though, which D&D says no, that can never happen.
I know. They made it worse.
I do enjoy this picture. I must really point this out for a second, where it's like, drive me closer, I won't hit them with my crowbar.
I love the energy of that so much. Like, that's the energy I want. I want the game where we can play Brock Sampson or the protagonist from Happy.
Yes,
or Marv from Sin City, if you want to refer to Frank Miller.
Yeah. Like this feels like this is my kind of vibe because it's like Shadowrun.
Yeah.
Yep. I suppose minus the cybernetics, maybe.
Yeah.
Gunsmith Cats, the RPG I will play it in a heartbeat.
Oh God. Yes. Oh my God. Like my whole body tingled hearing you say that. But then again, I love Gunsmith Cats.
Yeah. I love that show too. There's problems, but it's great. So I'm talking about the free game on itch because I'm still on a free game binge. There might be an official game coming out. We might do that too. We'll see, but that's not out yet. But there's a guy just writing, so I'm not Googling it now.
No.
You give me a link if you want me to look at it. Why would I Google that right now? Is it cancelled? Is that why? Okay, I'm Googling it. Fuck you, Win. Yeah, it's announced. What do you? Yes, this is the first result I get.
Mm-hmm.
On the official website, they announced that that they're going to have a game. We knew that.
Mm-hmm.
They also have dice, guys, with 20 being the symbol, or possibly the 1. Well, that's the 20. That's the 20. I like the maps they have, apparently. That looks kind of... What are they doing with that?
Yeah, I'm into the maps. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I'm not so much into the colored character sheets. That's always a problem. It looks like we have lots of gaming aids with color, which I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Are the dice gonna be color coded? Because I noticed that they are like blue to blue, green to green, red to red. Is this tank healer DPS dice? Oh god, that could actually be good. It could also be horrendous though, so I don't know.
I have to mention a reference to something whenever somebody says color coded. I always think of this. So there was a old Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode called "The Brain That Wouldn't Die," where a guy's girlfriend gets in a car accident and he saves her head and then reanimates it. Anyway, that part's not important. The start of the movie starts out with some surgeons working on a guy, and the surgeon does something risky, and at one point during the surgery, I can't remember which of the robots says it. I think it was Crow. Just out of nowhere says, it's not color-coded like the picture.
Great.
I just think of that every time somebody says color-coded.
I must ask, though, what is a DTRPG?
A DTRPG?
Hey, look at this icon.
It's a reverse D. That's a T.
Yeah. Well, it's a reverse D, yeah. So the reverse D is the T. That makes no sense. And yes, I know this is I know it's a T, but look at it.
I know. It's just a little.
It's going to also be a CITRPG.
Colon inspection, tabletop role playing game.
Oh, it's a character interactive tabletop role playing game. Because trick.
Oh my god!
It's not a tabletop, you know. It's a character interactive tabletop role playing game. Yeah.
That hurts.
The characters are interactive.
Oh no.
So yeah, there you go. 2 hours of that and then a bit of news. I think we have a good episode on our hands here.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Anything to plug for next week?
Last episode of Fabula Ultima for the year on Friday.
Yes.
I'll be doing more writing for Fabula Ultima Supplement, Dark and Horror Fantasy.
Nice.
I'll do some of that live. After I work out the kinks for the classes I want to include, I'll be working on those.
Nice.
What else?
I hope I can actually watch one of those streams.
Oh yeah, I'll just whatever day that it is that you are not busy, I will be doing it or doing it.
I promise the day I won't be streaming on the week is gonna be I will be busy off stream. So
okay,
we'll
figure it out.
I can watch a VOD. This would be something. Okay, whatever. My plug is the only plug I have is we're finishing Disco Elysium with Waggles on Monday.
Oh yeah.
And then of course Friday, Fabula Ultima, as we already said. And then Saturday, always said that too. This show gets its big 2024 end of year thing. We're going to again talk about why Ironbound Stars Varm is bad.
Is poo, yeah.
Yeah.
Mega poo.
It's such a big poo. Oh my god. I mean, a big poo is you know what? No, it's not, because the big poo is satisfying. It is one of those poos that hangs down your ass and it can't shake it loose.
And you just like, please, will you add?
Straining and it's not really coming out. Okay, I digress.
This isn't Wednesday. Why are we being this cursed?
Because we're talking about Iron Poo Stars. Fuck
Starpoo. Starpoo.
Oh, Regards ask, is Shadowrun Miami writing on hold for now?
Yeah, because I need to make money. I'm sorry. I want to publish this by the end of January. So I haven't been writing anything for Miami at the moment. I apologize, but I want to make some money off of this. So
understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let me find some ready to rate. Who would we be rating? Oh, you know what? Kami's. Kamigala has rated me a bunch. We're rating Kamigala. Can finally give back there. So let's do that. Yeah, I'm back on Monday with Waggles on the Waggles channel. Watching the Waggles. Waggling, waggle, 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 waggle. And yeah, that's gonna be a thing. And that's about all I want to say. If you send any of your personal recommends for that award show, let me know on Discord, on the gaming and TTRPG channel on my Discord. I would be interested in your takes. But yeah, I will click the red button. So see you all. Have a good time.
See you all.
Have a good Sunday. Please relax. Please try to sleep. I know I will try to sleep soon. So, bye.
Bye.